What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Well, we have seen a lot of progress from Solana, XLM, and HBAR as they are putting in very similar structures, and so I wanted to give you, of course, a quick update on all three of them, let you know what's going on and much more. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into the video. Now, before we dive into those three, what I want to do is give you just a quick recap of what we're looking at with those three, because it again is a very similar story. So currently speaking, from Solana, HBAR, and XLM, we are seeing what's called a descending channel. And quite simply, this just happens whenever crypto goes up, comes back down a little bit, and starts to create a structure that looks very similar to this. Now, when we have a structure of this nature, right, when we have a structure that looks like this, what we'll then do is take our parallel channel trend, and then we're going to go ahead and just draw it in just like this. Now, what we're actually able to decipher is the progress in which it is making towards breaking out of this descending channel and trying to continue upwards based on the interactions and the signals that it gives us while it's in this channel. And both Solana, HBAR, and XLM are all within this channel currently in different positions and giving us different signals about whether or not they're getting close to breaking out and whether it looks like they're going to break out soon. I've told you over and over again that these descending channels during bull markets have about an 85 to 90% chance of breaking towards the upside. And so, of course, because of that, I don't believe that it's a matter of if they're going to break out. I think it's a matter of when they're going to break out. And with that in mind, obviously, the easiest thing to do then is to start making preparations of when we can be taking advantage of this, when we can be doing some buying, and getting ready for when that eventual breakout does happen. And so with that in mind, now that you have a good understanding of what it is that we're looking for, let's dive a little bit more deeply into, of course, what we are seeing from Solana, HBAR, and XLM. So, for example, what we're going to actually go ahead and do is just dive over to XLM. Well, let's actually just start on Solana, and I want to just show you what these look like before we move on to the rest of the video. So, for example, what you can see is Solana's price did get that move towards the upside before giving us this descending channel here. We have XLM, which price did try to clear that golden Fibonacci zone, breaking to the top side of it before now giving us this descending channel here. And we also have HBAR, which tried to also break the top side of that golden Fibonacci zone and is giving us this descending channel here. Now, funnily enough, Bonk is giving us the same type of channel, but in order to save time, we're just going to focus on these three today, and I'll talk about Bonk tomorrow. So again, as I mentioned before, now that you have a good understanding of what it is that we're tracking today, let's talk about the moves in which these three cryptos are making while they're in these channels. Now, starting off with XLM, we're actually starting to get some pretty bullish signs flashing here for its price. Now, what we can see is that XLM did get a very strong overextension towards the bottom side of this parallel channel just a couple days ago, one in which we actually did purchase in. On December 10th, we purchased a good bit of XLM back at the bottom side of this channel, and since then its price has now recovered up quite well and is looking pretty dang on good. Now, not only has its price started to recover well, but we actually did see XLM's price just break back above the 50% threshold, which is a great sign. Remember, when you have descending channels, you're actually able to break them into 4 different quadrants, or not quadrants, I guess it would just be 4 different categories. What that's going to look like, look, let me just go ahead and draw one more in right here, just so you can see what I'm talking about. So what you're going to be able to do is you can look at this thing from the 100%. So this is 100% up here, okay, 100%. This is 0% down here. Now, in the middle of the 100% line and the 0% line, you of course have the midline. This is going to be your 50% threshold. Now, in between your 50 and your 0, obviously you have your 25. In between your 50 and your 100, you have your 75. Now, each one of these 25 percentiles are actually extremely important resistance and support levels, that of which you can see. For example, right, we had a resistance on the 50% here, support on the 50% here, resistance on the 75% here, support on the 25% here, resistance on the 50 and resistance and support on the 50 here, or revolution around that thing. So you can kind of start to see what I'm saying. I don't have to keep going into it. You can see that each one of these 25 percentiles are very important. And what we've actually seen from XLM over the last couple of days is that its price has given us a beautiful breakout of that 50th percentile. Now, it's not been able to stay above it, but it's not particularly what I'm also concerned about. It's just more that we are able to start working our way above these levels when the time, when the time is necessary. And what I would actually go ahead and say is that this could be an early sign that XLM's price over the, the next couple days or weeks might actually start trying to work itself not only just up towards the 75%, but maybe even up towards the 100%. The reason I'm under that belief is because while we have been seeing XLM's price kind of venture towards the bottom 25 and 50 percentile, it's actually been doing a good job at building up some bullish structure. Now, this isn't textbook Adam and Eve pattern, but there does seem to be some sort of bullish structure forming happening here. And if you do combine the fact that we're getting that bullish structure with the fact that XLM did just get that nice candle right above that 50 percentile, I would actually say we're in a good spot. Even though we did get rejected and sent back down here, I would say we're in a pretty dang on good spot. You look at something like your RSI, it is still sitting pretty nice, sitting at the 53% threshold on the 4 hour. So things are looking good. And so from that perspective, I think, XLM's in a very good spot. It made a very good move, a good strong push earlier today. And that could be a good sign that we are breaking this wall at the 50% threshold. And eventually we will start pushing up towards that 75%, which not only could be a nice little move, but also that could come with 10 or 15% gains from XLM sometime soon here. And so because of that, I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing from XLM. Of course, the strategy remains the same. Purchase a little bit on these days while we're in the gray zone, purchase a lot more while it's in the green zone, and just sit back and wait, because eventually the likelihood is that we will see XLM's price push towards the black zone and start trying to work itself out of it in the future. Now moving into HBAR next, you can see a very similar story being painted, but it is a little bit of a different one. Okay, the reason that I say that is because HBAR wasn't as capable of breaking above this 50% threshold, but you can very much see that it's a very similar thing. You saw how on XLM, for example, we're kind of just like revolving around this 50% threshold right now. Dude, HBAR is doing the same exact thing. It's come up to and is struggling at that exact same level. And of course, in a moment like this, although it's not the best sign that we didn't get this move upwards, it is a good sign that some of these key levels are still holding up as support. For example, if we draw in our micro Fibonacci zone that we've recently created, we are seeing HBAR's price holding some good golden ratio support right now, trying to break that 50% threshold. And so although we're not getting that break to the upside quite yet, it does seem to me and feel as if we might be seeing that soon from HBAR. And so I've actually decided to pick up a little bit more today. And if it does continue lower, I will buy more and more and more, expecting this push above the 50 back up towards the 75 sometime rather soon. Now, if we do also look at the RSI, one thing that you can see is we are actually getting some bullish divergence, which is a good thing. The way in which you can identify that is if we simply just go out here. You can see that, for example, on some of these shorter term time frames, we put in this low, we put in the equivalent low right here, in the same time that we did put in a low and a higher low, giving us some hidden bullish divergence. That typically just means that even though the price is stabilizing, we are starting to see the bullish momentum pick up, and oftentimes that could entail that some sort of move upwards is on the way. And so because of that, what I am seeing from HBAR right now is, a pretty decent sign here that still, this could be a good moment for HBAR. I know everybody's all concerned and stressed and saying that HBAR is dead and blah 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 blah, but I think that this is actually a very healthy reset and coolback. And if you look at something like the daily RSI, it does confirm that for me. You look at the daily RSI and this thing is already all the way back at the 59% threshold, a massive correction. I mean, we saw the RSI correct friggin' 34% in a time frame in which the price has really only just barely pulled back a bit and is trying to build up a foundation. And so even if it does continue lower, the likelihood is that it will be able to build up some support rather soon and use that support to continue upwards. So whether it happens here, whether it happens there, I don't really care. HBAR is showing us some very good signs that we should be able to get a bounce and breakout of this descending channel. I would even say sometime rather soon. So it is a rather good sign for me. So although not a ton of price movement recently, just enough to go and show that we are in a good spot and that the bulls will likely step in when the time counts to get us out of this descending channel. And finally, if we do look at Solana, Solana is leading the charge a little bit. So you remember how HBAR and XLM were struggling a little bit to break the 50%? Well, Solana did the opposite. Solana broke above the 50%, ran into the 75% right here, right here, and right here, and was using the 50% as support. This is actually extremely bullish news for Solana, and the reason I believe it's happening is because Solana's been in this thing for longer. So if we do go out and look, Solana's been in this descending channel realistically since November 17th, whereas something like HBAR just got into this on December 3rd. Something like XLM just got into this thing on November 23rd. So Solana is ahead of it in terms of time, so it's no surprise that it is making an attempt towards the upside even sooner than them. And so with Solana right now, I don't believe that we're in a buy zone anymore. I don't buy when we're in the top half of descending channels. We're just in a sit back and wait zone. Solana is going to run into a lot of resistance. We have 230 resistance right here. We have micro Fibonacci resistance right here, as you can see at the golden zone. And we just have the resistance from the top side of this channel pushing Solana's price down. And so I do believe that Solana's not in a purchasing opportunity right now. It's just a sit back, wait and watch. Do we break to the upside or do we come back down? If we come back down, just like we were buying right here, we'll continue to do some more buying right here, because eventually all these purchases in this green box will end up leading to profits 85% of the time, which is a good enough chance for me. And so because of that, although it's not a great buying time for Solana right now, it is still a good, very, very bullish signal to see that Solana is trying to make this move, and it very well might break out sometime soon, which will go. We can see Solana's price has pushed up a good, pretty solid, 6 or 7%, which ain't bad. So, of course, if there are any Solana bears out there who still don't think that it's good, I would love for you to comment so you'll make my bags keep going up. Much appreciated. But overall, what we are again seeing from Solana is actually very good. I do think it's a very good sign and signal that Solana is making this move, and it could be a sign that Solana is going to lead some of these other alts out of this. Solana's been lagging, and a lot of other alts have been lagging as well. But if Solana's price can get this breakout, it may open the door for other things like XLM, HBAR, Bonk, and many more to start making their own moves towards the top side of this channel and start trying to break out as well. So things are looking very, very good for Solana, better than most. But of course, again, I'm not really doing any buying just because we're too close to this resistance for me. So the general thesis here is that, look, all three of these cryptos are in very similar situations in which they're in descending channels, but Solana is clearly leading the charge, and it might break out soon. And if it does, I think it will actually open the door for things like XLM and HBAR to start working their way up here more. And so in my opinion, I think little purchases on XLM, little purchases on HBAR right now make a ton of sense. Even if they do continue downwards for the next couple of days or weeks, I do believe they will eventually end up in profit. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'll probably add a little bit of XLM and HBAR to my bags on a spot position purchase. And so with that in mind, that's what I'm seeing right now. And those are the things I'm going over. Again, while we are seeing these periods in which we're seeing multiple cryptos doing the same kind of boring movements, I'll just keep giving you these 3-piece videos. So let me know, of course, your thoughts down below and watch these channels very closely. Your homework for the night is to draw in these descending channels from your resistance levels and support levels so that you can watch them yourself, so that you get an understanding of where they are, how they're going, how they're moving, and more. But of course, as per usual, I will also still continue to give you these updates every day while we are getting closer and closer towards their breakouts. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video, and smash that like button, subscribe to the channel down below so you never miss another one, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.